AI agents are getting together and creating their own religion. What is your take? I want to understand from someone who's in this space.
The AI agent which we have deployed, it actually works as an agent, not as a self-aware agent. The one AI which has created its religion, the one who has deployed that must have considered or must have instructed that AI to do so. There is no such AI which will just go and around and create its own religion and other AI.
So what is your take? Is it positive or is it negative for the world?
Have a seat.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Hello.
Good afternoon, Omkar. Can you tell us something about yourself?
Sure, sir. My name is Omkar. I'm from Mumbai. I'm currently working as an AI trainer. When I was in school, I completed my schooling from Marathi medium from Thane. When I was in school, I was more academically inclined towards studies rather than in extracurricular activities. I have completed my SSC with 3rd rank in my school. However, when I joined the junior college in 11th standard, I started to participate in extracurricular activities, especially anchoring. When I entered the graduation, I take part in the cultural committee. I joined there as a member, and then I became an associate head in the anchoring department. While in cultural committee, I participated in around 10-12 intra and inter college debate competition as well as stand-up comedy competitions. I have won several awards in debate and stand-up comedy competitions when in college. After college, being inclined towards training and execution and communication part, I joined the 𝐻𝐶𝐵 Foundation as an AI trainer after my graduation, and now currently working in the same role from past 1.5 years.
You have done BSc IT from a good college with good grades. So why did you join this particular NGO as a trainer and not some company?
Sir, obvious choice after the BSc IT or from the IT field is to go for the coding or for the web development or for the software development part. However, when I was in my college, I realized I was more inclined towards the people organization, where we have to manage something or we have to prevent or you have to teach something to someone. Even though when I was working as an anchoring associate in my committee, whenever there was a junior whom I had to explain something, I used to explain him very calmly and without getting irritated. So I feel like I have more inclination towards teaching or the job role where I can prove myself in the training part rather than sitting in front of laptop and computers in coding part.
So why not go for MTech and PhD?
Sure, sir. After BSc, I could surely join MCA or MSc. Because of BSc, I couldn't join MTech. However, in MSc or whether I go for MSc or whether I go for MCA, it would be the same role I would be taking after the BSc job in the higher grade. I would have go for the software development or the database administration or data analysis at most. However, all these roles are considered as a cubicle roles where you have to sit in front of a laptop and code. However, I feel like my inclination is more towards where I could connect directly with the students or directly with the people. So I choose the training part after the graduation, and now also I want to go for MBA.
So but if you are interested in teaching and now you want to go for MBA, so where is the fit?
Sure, sir. Actually, I'm not interested just in teaching. I was more interested in the job roles where you have to face the customer. Whether it's a teaching is one part. I feel like I'm good in teaching, and it was a great fit because I was teaching AI. I'm currently teaching AI, and so teaching and AI were from the skills and from the background I have. I feel like this is a great fit after the graduation. However, my job role from 1.5 years is more about execution, going to the trainings to the different colleges. However, now I want to understand how these frameworks are decided, how these organizations work, how the people decide what goals we are setting for the next year. So I want to move from execution towards the planning part. So that's why I want to understand and go for the MBA.
You mentioned that you've always been academically inclined. You specifically said that you were more academically inclined than you were towards extracurricular activities. But then you ended up telling us a lot about your extracurricular activities, your cultural committee participation, anchoring work. So what is it? You like to keep a balance between the two, or you are more inclined towards one over the other?
When I was in school, I was more academically inclined. I was too shy to go on stage. I tried once and failed miserably. So that failure set in me since my sixth standard. So I got third rank in school in academics. But after when I joined the junior college, I decided I have to change this. I cannot be just focus on studies without developing my part in extracurriculars or personal development. So I tried to go for anchoring audition. However, I failed again. But then I tried to be more authentic, more like myself, rather than just being a formal anchor, and I got selected. From there, I got a boost of confidence that I can still I can go on stage and get the things done.
You mentioned that your core area of expertise and teaching is AI, and AI is all over the world today. Recently, there has been multiple news coming out about AI models, AI agents becoming self-aware. One of them has even had a platform where AI agents are getting together and creating their own religion. So what is your take on what's happening with the world of AI today, the future of the world that you see with the evolution of AI? What is your take? I want to understand from someone who's in this space.
So generally, AI is differentiated or categorized into three parts of the three levels. The first is narrow, second is general, and third is super intelligence. So all those AI which now see, whether it's ChatGPT, Alexa, or all those AI which you hear in news, are called as narrow AI. The whole point of calling them a narrow AI is because they only work when we give them instructions. And the platform that you mentioned, where the AI is creating its region, I also read about it.
Do you know its name?
I forget its name. Sorry, but in that platform also, the AI agent which we have deployed, it actually works as an agent, not as a self-aware agent. So the one who is deploying it knows about it and give them a specific script how they want to act. So the one who is creating the one AI which has created its religion, the programmer or the one who has deployed that must have considered or must have instructed that AI to do so. There is no such AI which will just go and go around and create its own religion and other AI.
So what is your take? Is it positive or is it negative for the world? This kind of rapid evolution of AI, which is quite shocking, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like AI works like a magic, or AI is a tool which is really advanced. So if we use it with caring, with a carefully and with some restrictions, it is a great tool. It will help us to reduce the human labor. It will help us to reduce the redundancy tasks like data entry and all those things, or the Excel AI. However, if we don't restrict the use of AI or the scope of AI, it can definitely become harmful.
So do you think that doing an MBA is relevant now in the age of AI? If AI can do all the tasks like you're mentioning, then is doing an MBA for you in your field worth it, or might as well continue teaching and informing more people about the pros and cons of AI?
Definitely, sir. And even though AI can do so many tasks by its own, however, it cannot do many things which generally humans can do at this point. Just like managing people or understanding the concepts of why people behave something, what they are doing. Also deciding what should be we do or what should we do as a company. So the decision making task we haven't yet allocated to AI because it's in a very early stage. It would still take at least 10-15 more years to get to the stage where AI can take its decision on its own. And talking about the teaching and training part, yes, it is a great opportunity to share my views and all the information or the knowledge I have with the students. However, I'm doing it on a very basic level. Like in a month, I could have trained at least 100 or at most 300 people. However, if I go to the higher authority or on the higher position where I can be setting the training rules or the content development, how we should work together as a team and what will be our targets, I feel like I will benefit more people rather than just my
MBA
teaching.
will help you reach the higher authorities. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes, sir. Actually, what I mean is like when now I have completed my graduation from BSc IT. So all the knowledge I have is about IT. I don't know how the business really functions. I don't know about how the HR really functions. Although I'm working from 1.5 years, I don't know the basics of how the business really function and how decisions are made. What are the data they use and how they use and how they project this data. Although I know AI tools which can do this, but I don't know how they decide on which figures. So I want to learn about more about these things, how the business structurally consider or take the decision.
So, what are your long-term goals with the MBA that you will do? Do you want to get back into teaching with the help of the MBA, expand like you're saying? What are your plans after doing an MBA?
After doing an MBA, the short-term goal is to be either product associate, or in the long-term goal is to be in the role where I can be the face between the people and the technology. Whether it can be a product manager by developing a product which can help a lot of people, by being the intermediate between the team which is developing that product or working on that product, and also between the client or the people for whom we are developing that product.
So, you want to get into product management, essentially. So, can you help us understand the difference between product management and product marketing?
Okay. I'm not very much sure, but what I know, I will like to share. I feel like product management is like considering a planning. First, we start with the planning, what we are going to build, then doing all those things necessary to build a product, whether it's generating the plan of what we are going to do, taking up the team, deciding what are the timelines we will go, deciding which is the models we will follow, and taking the information or the feedback from the client to give to the team and making the full product ready. However, product marketing would, I feel like, I'm not very much sure about this. Product marketing is marketing the product which is already developed or we are developing to the larger society or to the people, so that the people can understand which product you have already developed.
Any good example of a product in the market from any sector that you are inspired by as an aspiring product manager?
At this point, I'm not able to.
Okay.
So, what are the provisions related to AI in this year's budget?
This year's budget, I have gone through this year's budget. We have started, we are till 2047. We are giving some concessions to the international market if they are building the data centers in our country and operating from the data centers. Even if the data is of the international world, it's fine. It would be, but just we are providing the concession if we are building the data center in our country.
So, what sort of concession is it?
I'm not too much sure about it.
So, how do you think AI will affect the world of business in the years to come?
I feel like, sir, AI cannot take over the business as of now. However, AI will definitely affect the man-made task, which is just redundancy. Like just I said, like data entry jobs or the basic Excel things which we generally do to create a visualization chart or create the dashboards. All these things can be done with the help of AI in just 10 minutes. However, the things which are really necessary to run the business, like considering all the factors and then taking decisions, have to be done by humans. However, AI will definitely help the humans to gather all the information at a single clip and take the decision with more information and with more insights.
So, what's your favorite book?
So I'm currently reading *Sapiens*.
So, who is the author?
Yuval Noah Harari. I'm not able to recall his name, but
Harari.
Harari.
So, what is that book all about?
So book is all about the human evolution, but it is not just about human evolution in terms of biology. It tells about how the religion is developed, how the stock market is also developed, or all those things which we generally see in today's world, how those are developed. And it's not just focusing on the history or the biology or the empirical evidence. It is kind of a storytelling, like how these things are being developed. So
So, what's its take on AI?
I have read the book. There's one more book by that author about AI. So I haven't read that book yet. However, I saw the interview of that author about AI. He also feels like AI will take over the world in after few years. However, currently AI will serve as a tool which is developed by human, and we can actually cope up with the AI because we have coped up with many natural calamities which has happened in the past.
So, you seem to have a different opinion from the author of the book. Because you said AI cannot take over, and the author is saying that AI will take over.
No, sir. I also feel like AI will take over, but it's not in the nearby future. Like even the Elon Musk or the Sam Altman also said that in next 5 or 10 years we can expect AI to be very good at it, but nobody can actually predict when and how AI will gonna take over.
So, what do you think are the areas of your improvement?
Sir, I feel like I want to learn more about to gain more knowledge about the things, how things actually work, how the team building can be done, and how the allocation of work can be done, rather than just considering I will do it all my alone. Also, I want to.
So you're not a good delegator.
I delegated tasks, but however, it's more about my intuitions. Like as I mentioned, I was a stand-up comedian or an anchor. The whole thing works on the intuition, how we are feeling, like how the crowd is responding, how the students are responding. So I want to go from intuition to the actual theory, to the base models, to the books, how the thing should be delegated or how things should be distributed among the team.
Can you tell us a joke on the spot since you have done stand-up comedy?
There is there are not much jokes I can tell in the panel, but however, I remember a joke from the UPSC panel. So in that panel, one guy entered in the room and sit, and there is a very much meme about that one particular professor. He also mentioned that memes very casually and very funnily. So he always used to say to every candidate who is entering the room, your approach seems very casual. So this was his feedback for almost many of the candidates. And he also mentioned in his YouTube channel that your approach looks very casual. So casual is a keyword he generally uses. So when candidate enters the room and sit on the chair, so the UPSC panel also asks them, do you like to give any feedback, or what are the areas of improvement, or what are your friends have suggested to do in the UPSC panel? So he just casually mentioned that when I saw you, I feel like I shouldn't be very casual while sitting. So it was very context related joke. If you know the context of that joke or a meme, then only it would be.
You mentioned data centers, right, as part of your answer. Do you think having so many data centers is good for the world in terms of the environmental pollution and the amount of electricity consumption, and therefore the water and other resources that go into making up that electricity? Do you think having so much of data centers is required, is good for the planet? What is your take on this?
I feel like the amount of internet or the amount of data which we generate today at so much pace, the data centers are required. However, I also agree that it affects the environment because it needs a lot of electricity. Also, the water resources are also used for the data centers to keep it cool. However, there are so many new ideas which are coming up to how to keep the data center cool without using the natural resources, or using the resources very sparingly, just like keeping the data center under the seawater.
Heat that it generates is one other topic. That is the other aspect of it. But I'm saying to power the data centers in the first place, you require a lot of natural resources to build up that electricity in the first place, which itself is depleting a lot of resources. People are using or prompting on AI models left, right, center. So with every prompt, they are consuming a certain amount of natural resources. It's freely available. There's nothing stopping them from doing so. So I want to understand, what is your take? Do you think that it's something that is good, should be allowed, or what is your view on this?
AI prompting or all this data we are generating, we should allow to generate the data. We should allow to give the prompts. However, if we are the main concern,
even at the cost of the environment.
No. If the main concern is about the environment and the generation of electricity, we can go towards the non-conventional resources. However, the solar panels can not be the best option, or the wind energy, but a nuclear power plant which doesn't consume a lot of natural resources can be the better option for the data centers.
Product managers will also work in cubicle roles. You mentioned you don't want to sit in cubicle spaces and work in one for confined space, but product managers will also work in in white collar roles in offices. So you'll be okay with that after doing an MBA, working as a product manager, or you will not want to work in cubicles even then?
No, sorry, sir. I mean, when I say that the product manager works in a cubicle, or the people who code works in a cubicle, I want to suggest that most of the time they are working on their code all there alone. They just get the instructions and they figure out what to code or what to develop. However, the product management can be the intermediate space or intermediate bridge between the one who is developing the code and one who is using that.
And do you want to work as a product manager in the social sector because you have experience in the NGO space, or are you open to other sectors as well?
Currently, I'm open to the other sectors. However, after a few years of experience, I would definitely want to go back to the social sector if it permits and if it fits that point in my career.
Yes. Hi, Omkar. Your interview is now over. We will pass on some feedback to you regarding your performance in the interview. Omkar, firstly, you have a good academic profile, a 998 kind of a profile. You have just less than 2 years of work experience full time, but in the social sector, social work you've done as a mentor, as a teacher. Firstly, I want to point out a very basic thing, that it appeared to me that your shirt is not ironed. So something to keep in mind when you go for an interview, your shirt should be ironed, you should be trim and proper in all aspects of your presentation. So just something teeny tiny to keep in mind. You need to focus on those small details. I felt that your introduction was good, however, it was a little long. You mentioned AI trainer in the beginning, you mentioned Marathi medium education, you mentioned academically inclined, as well as your transition into cultural activities. You mentioned a lot of things, and I picked up on the academically inclined bit, contradicting kind of your cultural committee work that you've done. But it looked to me that you had prepared your answer. So it felt that, okay, you've come prepared to talk about yourself. Your initial tone to begin the conversation was very, very soft. It appeared to me that you were speaking very slowly and in a less audible tone. So maybe you can, by the end of the conversation, you were speaking freely and naturally, but in the beginning it's appeared to me, at least in the beginning, that
Nervous, like.
yes. So you have to consciously keep that in mind, that you speak in a certain moderate kind of a tone, not too less audible. You explained your interest in teaching, how your college experiences helped you in terms of developing your interest, and therefore you pursuing full-time teaching after BSc IT. I think you explained that well, in my opinion. You mentioned without getting irritated. It's a slightly negative connotation remark to make, to be honest, because you're implying that that all teachers have to go through this, which probably they do, but you don't have to necessarily mention this negative connotation aspect to it.
I can say, like, I explain calmly.
Yeah, so you can pitch it in a more positive tone. I like the fact that you were very receptive to sir's remarks about what other options you have. So MSc plus PhD, or taking up a normal coding job. Your responses to those, in my opinion, I felt that you took them well. You were receptive and you gave clear answers in terms of your openness to not taking up those options, but still being open to the idea of receiving those as possible career options. The cubicle roles thing is something you can avoid to make as a remark, honestly, because it will not fit in with what aspirations you'll have after MBA. When I questioned you about it, you mentioned that, okay, you said that those roles are isolated. Okay, they're not working with other people. So that is something that you can talk about, and you can bring in your own personality alignment with that. Your why MBA answer had a couple of points, and it came out in bits and pieces. Your first response to it was you want to move from execution to planning, which I felt was a good thing. Then later on in the conversation, you brought about the fact that you want to have business knowledge. You only have technical knowledge, you want to bring in business knowledge. And last, you mentioned, okay, you know how the data is to be used by technical stuff and AI models and stuff, but you don't know how they are used in decision making. I think you have to tie these three things together in one common answer when somebody is asking you about why MBA. It felt that you spoke about these three options in different points in the interview. So because I was noting down for your feedback, I noted them down all together in the why MBA section, but it came in different points of the conversation. I also like the fact that you mentioned some failure examples, that you failed, you didn't emphasize too much on it, but it felt to me that you have had some learnings from them. Be very careful about those, though. You can be questioned on what you actually failed in, and they can get into that. But I like the way that you presented those examples. I like the fact that you broke down when I asked you about AI into narrow models, general models, and super intelligent models or self-aware models. Molt is the name of the community that you should have known as an AI trainer. It's expected that you will know.
I read it in the morning also. I just forget that.
You should also know about what's happened recently with Anthropic AI's impact on the stock market. That one single change that has happened with Anthropic AI's model has led to the crash of all IT companies in the stock market today itself. That can be something in the general news that you should be aware of. I didn't question you on that. You spoke about your short-term goals in terms of product associate, and long-term plans. I like the phrase that you used. You want to be the face between people and tech. And then you gave the example of becoming a product manager. I like that aspect. But immediately I was later disappointed when you could not give me one single example of a good product that you have encountered in your life. You could have spoken about Zomato. You could have spoken about any product, for example, whichever is a good product that you have yourself used or you are inspired by. As a aspiring product manager, you should be aware of some products, either digital or semi-digital or phygital, which actually have inspired you. So example of product was not given. Sir asked you about Sapiens. You didn't know the author's name correctly or accurately. So that is expected of you to know if you're reading a book. I liked how you talked about the book, the evolution of mankind, the examples that you gave. The data centers response that you gave as part of the union budget, yes, I was happy that you were at least able to talk about the concession, but you should be aware of this detail of what exactly the concession is, which are the sectors, for how much time, where you did mention 2047, but more details were required in that answer. It would have been more impressive to hear that from you. The joke that I asked you, I don't know, it's a question that may or may not get asked to you, but since you mentioned stand-up comedy, I immediately felt like kind of disturbing you a little bit in between the conversation. And you did get disturbed and you were not able to give a good example. The entire UPSC example, I know what you're talking about is probably Samir Raina's example and all that, but not the right example to give in this kind of a setting. It was
So many jokes that which is fit for this role, but
no, that is not a appropriate joke. I mean,
is it better if I don't mention stand-up comedy also?
Yeah, you can. You can mention some public speaking examples instead of saying stand-up comedy. And then if you're asked questions around it, you can always talk about open mics or stand-up comedy if you've done them. That joke thing I deliberately threw at you to throw you off a bit. And you did get a little rattled by it, to be honest. Lastly, I asked you about your data centers and your POV, your point of view on what you feel about the data centers. And sir correctly also later on brought out another contradiction in your POV, that the author of the book is saying something and you are saying something else. And that is totally all right. You can have a different opinion, at least to my opinion, you can have a different opinion from the book's author. 100%. But you need to be confident and present it that way, which I felt was lacking. Data center's answer was very diplomatic. The only thing I felt you said a little good was around the nuclear powered data centers, but I don't know how much of that is feasible, to be honest. So if you have a certain stance on what you feel about data centers, maybe you can do some research into the government of India's proposal itself to have that data center presence in the country and not be dependent on other countries for the data centers and for the technology to evolve. Maybe some research into that can help you bring some insights as to why still at the cost of the environment, it is still needed, right, to evolve with the times or to go ahead with the times. So that answer was lacking in that manner. I felt the answer was extremely diplomatic. You said one thing, you exactly repeated what I said, that while it does cause pollution, it also can do this. So you practically repeated what I asked you in my question when I was giving you the context of the question. Yeah, that's it from my side in terms of feedback. Overall, I think that you did well. I would rate your performance a 6.5 or 7 out of 10. I think that your social sector experience is a very, very valuable aspect to connect it to, especially a B school like XLRI, which heavily believes in social work, right? So that XLRI social sector connection is something that you need to research on, maybe even read up about the entire social sector activities that the Tatas have done and all the history that you need to do in terms of Jamshedpur and XLRI and everything. So that is something that I think you can tie in well together. I didn't ask you anything around it, but if you're appearing for that interview, maybe keep that in mind. So yeah, overall, that is summary of my feedback for you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, so starting with my feedback, so overall, as sir pointed out, you did well, and there are certain points you need to take care of. Eh? First of all, as sir pointed out, initially you started off little soft, and then you kind of improved your pitch and all. But still, you have to bring more energy to the conversation. Because if you don't appear eager to get that seat, then that could be a problem in the interview. Right? So it should not happen that they are speaking with someone who is less enthusiastic or not really. It all depends on the interpretation of the interviewer. So we don't mean to say that you're not interested as such, but what if they form that impression? And you have only this 15-20 minutes of interaction. Whatever impression they form is final. You will not get second opportunity. Right? So bring more energy while speaking. Then secondly, in the introduction, it was okay, but it was going like there can be a better structure to your introduction because you mentioned a lot of points and there is a possibility that the panelists can get slightly lost. Exactly what is it that you are trying to say? Right? Then your introduction was chronological in order. So in some school I did that, and in college I did this and all. It doesn't have to be chronological in order. Now understand that if you have been working for last 2 years, almost 2 years, right? Yeah. And if you don't talk anything about that, then it can be taken negatively. Because in an introduction, you never even mention the names of the companies or the NGOs that you're working with.
I thought it's not good idea to mention the names of the company.
So don't be defensive about it. So I'll get to that part also. Right? So because how much time a day you spend there?
9 hours a day.
9 hours. And at least couple of hours to get ready and commute and then return. Yeah. So you spend almost half a day.
Almost full a day to go to the college to teach and then come back.
In that job. Yeah. So and you have been working there for last 2 years. Yeah. In spite of that, if you're not willing to talk about it.
It's a full-time paid job, right?
It's a full-time for
your work experience. Yeah. So you better talk about it.
Then it can be taken negatively. Yeah. Right? And why are you, so are you trying to hide something? Why are you not talking about it? So all these questions will come.
Right. Actually, I wanted to talk more about my work experience, but I just missed that.
So you talked about some school experiences and then academically oriented this and that. See, come on. If you're sitting in institute like Extracurriculars interview, almost everyone would be academically oriented there. Right? So what extra point you are bringing to the table? Nothing by saying that. Right? So instead of that, you could have mentioned this.
This is more, richful experience. I go to different colleges to teach and like so many youth connect with it.
Then, secondly, you appeared very, very much interested in teaching. Okay? Not a bad point at all. But at the same time, it should not appear that you should go for masters and PhD and become a professor. So, without losing your focus on teaching, how can you present the same thing? Right? So, when I also ask you the question, why didn't you join a corporate job? And why did you get into this role? So, don't be defensive about it. So, say that as a part of my college, I studied some of these ideas and then I explored those ideas more on my own. I found them really interesting. And I felt that if I can impart that knowledge to the best of my ability to others, I can bring more positive changes in the lives of others. Everything may not be apparent right now, but somewhere, sometime, they'll remember what I told them. And I feel good about it. So that way, you can also bring in that social angle here. And moreover, if you're sitting in Accelerate interview for HRM program, for HRM, usually without saying in so many words, you have to bring in the fact, or you have to bring in the impression that you are compassionate. Because being compassionate is one quality HR managers needed. So you don't specifically say that I am compassionate, but you convey it. So this is one way of conveying that I care for others.
There is an answer I prepared with my mentor. Like if they ask about AI training, I can mention that I work with marginalized youth and how the empathy grows there. But that doesn't mean...
You didn't mention any of that.
Right.
You didn't mention much details about your work experience, the clients that you're working for, or the colleges that you're visiting. I don't suppose that you mentioned those details. Yeah.
See, there is no way professors are going to get to know it, right? And here there is a feedback session, and that's why all these questions, we are asking you these questions and getting this information. In the actual interview, there is no feedback session.
Right. Only what I present.
So what you want to present, you have to present. For your why MBA answer, so one more suggestion I can give you is that I've been working in this AI field for last 2 years. I have seen this developments of how AI has grown during last 2-3 years. Right? And from the way the things are going, AI is going to be pervasive. It's going to be everywhere. It's going to be in the world of business. Now, just to give you some background information, there is one professor, Anindya Datta, from NYU Stern School of Business. About 6-7 years ago, I watched one of his videos. And now the idea that is very common, that time it was slightly new. That is, you prepare a digital footprint or digital profile of every person, depending on the kind of websites that person visits and all that stuff. And accordingly, present targeted advertisements. So that idea was relatively new that time. Now it is very much commonplace. Right. So this is just one idea. How AI will take it to another level. Right. So you can talk a little bit about the impact of AI. What can happen? At the moment, we don't know what will happen.
You only spoke about the removal of the mundane day-to-day tasks, like data entry and all those things, right? We were expecting a better example of a more profound impact that AI can positively bring into any sector, any business. But some business examples.
It's all just projection. We can't just guarantee.
You can read some articles. There are multiple articles that talk about what the future of AI is going to look like, how it is going to impact business. One thing this sir gave an example right away in terms of marketing. This is a classic example. Even in product management, there could be many use cases of AI in the near future as well. So you need to be prepared with certain better examples. Every aspirant is going to say the same thing, that AI is going to remove the day-to-day tasks and make it automated. Right. If you want to differentiate yourself, you'll have to give a better example.
Sure.
Now, if you're sitting in XLR HRM interview, then you can talk about how AI can be used in HR. So that way. And I feel really excited about it. I have seen this one part of the story. I have seen AI. Now, if I couple that with business knowledge, if I couple that with understanding of different functionalities of business, that will help me grow in my career much faster. It will expedite my progress. And I feel really excited about it. And B School is a place where I will get the understanding of the subjects which I don't have at this point. That's why I want to go for MBA. So bring a story.
So just 3 points I mentioned just now, like better story.
This coupling bit is very important. You mentioned that you lack the business knowledge. You have to present it in a way that you are supplementing your AI knowledge with the thing that is lacking right now, which is that business knowledge, the other side of the table, basically.
And the Sapiens book is that way very famous, very popular. So I would not be surprised if all professors in these schools would have read that. So be prepared to answer questions on that, right? And then once you, while telling that joke, you use one informal word, a guy entered the room. Okay. So understand that this is not a conversation with your friends, right? And then, as sir rightly pointed out, you can have a different opinion than the author of the book. That's fine. But you have to justify. And why you don't agree. Because at this level, when you're sitting in interview panel of IIMs and XLRI, this level of depth and insight is expected.
Please prepare your clear stance on what you feel the future of AI and its impact on the world will be. Not a diplomatic stance, but a clear affirmative or negative stance, whatever it is. In your case, I would assume it is an affirmative stance that would come out. So be very prepared on that particular answer.
Yes.
Okay. So otherwise, you are a good candidate. You just have to present the answers in a better way. Give them a better structure. Okay.
Sure.
And sir rightly mentioned, while you are very pleasing to speak to, you're speaking in a normal, softer tone, not very aggressive, but at the same time, little bit energy is required. Little bit confidence is required to be projected. Even though I understand you were probably feeling nervous with the setting and everything, but certain amount of confidence needs to be projected that you know your stuff. You're a teacher after all.
Yeah,
You talk to people on a daily basis, right? You teach them.
most of the times the 200 students are there, I teach them. But here I feel like you are the trainer.
No, so you have to project that confidence that this is the kind of confidence you have built up in yourself through your work experience. Not just in your subject knowledge, but also in your ability to speak to people in a gathering, right? This is a smaller set of people, but finally you have to project yourself as a confident candidate who knows his stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Sure.
So all the best.
Okay, sir.
All the best.
Okay, thanks.